Blessings, divine beings. This is going to be a look into the Enchanted Förhäxa tarot deck. This is a fantasy-based deck from Norse folk tales. So it says, get lost in the land of the fairies to find your magic. From the creator of the Crow Tarot, the 78-card tarot deck and guidebook invites you to step through a portal into the mythical world of Förhäxa, named for the Swedish word meaning to enchant. Inspired by Norse folktale and fairy lore, the earthy, rich, detailed illustrations bring the fairies, mermaids, and heroes and villains of this deck to life. The traditional tarot suits are replaced with fire, water, air, and earth, grounding the power of this deck not in the mundane items, but in the foundational elements of nature. So I'm very much into Norse mythology and very, very much into fairies and mermaids. There's also dragons in this deck, which I think is really, really cool. Let's take a look at the book first. The back of the cards. The art in this deck is so fun. Oh, can't wait to show you guys all these cards, but we'll get there in a minute. I also love decks that use the elements. I have the elements like tattooed on my arm here. Yep. All right. So it starts out with a brief introduction of the creation of the deck and a little bit about the land of Förhäxa, how to set up your deck. And then it has a page for the yes cards, the no cards, and the maybe cards. It has a single card pull, and then a short little, quick like a fairy spread. And then I love this. They have, she has a question to ponder for each of the major arcana cards. Now, I really wish these questions were on the description itself, so you didn't have to flip back and forth, but I love she gives something to ponder for each card. And then there's no pictures or colors in this book, but she gives the first couple paragraphs is going to be the backstory of the character, the story, the lore of that character, and then the last paragraph is going to be the message of that card. Right. And that's pretty much the same for all the cards. Okay, so let's take a look at these beautiful cards. I'm going to put this here, that there. Okay. So it's very different. This is obviously a non-traditional tarot deck, and I do lean towards those type of decks. I love tarot decks that are really different. I don't love having a bunch of the same kind of decks, but she does keep some similarities. Something to mention is that there are no male presenting figures in this deck. It is a feminine-based deck, though she does say it's a gender-neutral deck, and she uses they, them in all of the cards, so she doesn't use she or he at all. So I believe this is like the Emperor, right? So said the Council of Monarchs. Beautiful dragon. I love dragons. I love that she incorporates dragons. I mean, it's a fantasy deck, as you should. She also incorporates a lot of crows, as it said. She's the author of the Crow Tarot. There's quite a bit of crows. I think mostly associated with the swords. Or air. I don't know if you can tell, this picture really confused me at first, but it's like a lady standing here, and her hands are like going up like that, and she's calling down the weather, kind of. Super different tower card. Okay, so the fire suit, which would be wands. Got all those crows. Oh, maybe it's this one that has the crows. Maybe they all have the crows. I think there's just a lot of crows in this deck. There's a really interesting story. I think I don't know if this is from actual folklore, if it's something she created. But there is a story, non-traditional tarot related, to each card. Like every single, there's going to be a story from the land of Förhäxa behind each fairy or mermaid in each of the cards. This was a cool story. This the fairies were keepers of the dragon eggs, and so she's like really suffering trying to move and keep the dragon eggs safe. Now the kings are elders. Okay. The water is cups, and they're all mermaid figures. I really do love the art of this deck. It's so different. I'm kind of obsessed with it. I want more decks like this. Oh, this one was sad. This fairy wanted to become a mermaid, so she ripped off her wings for a mermaid that she loved. And then the mermaid ran off with someone else, and then she was left all alone, and then she wasn't noticing the fairy in the background that was there to offer comfort and support. I just think the thought behind this deck, I like the dragons in the airs. The thought and the stories behind this deck, behind each card, is just beautiful fantasy fairy tales. Each with its own lesson. And each card is, I mean, it has the vibe of each traditional tarot card, but the story is different. Like the meaning behind it is the same, more or less. But the story that gives you the message is new and unique.